Snap down a whopping 19% on bad earnings. Open Door, same thing, down 23%. Supermicro down 17%. Supermicro had come back quite a bit. So 3 big earnings disappointments. AMD, market didn't like it, down 5%. Nova down 4%. Lucid down 7%. On the plus side, Shopify's up 16%. Holy, Unity's up 9%. Palantir down slightly. IonQ up after Amazon allegedly buys stock in the company. Wix up 16%. Hinge Health also up 16%. Klaviyo up 16%. Arista, very large market cap, up 12%. Arista Networks, $170 billion giant. Lantheus down 28%. That stock can't catch a break. Other Vertex down 14%. The other one was also down similar amount yesterday. ACMR down 12%. BridgeBio down 9%. Dawn is the sun is setting on Dawn, unfortunately. By value, AMD and Nvidia have traded a little less than $1 billion. Shopify and Apple and Uber around 300. MicroStrategy, Tesla, Palantir, Citi, Novo, Disney, Microsoft, Unity, Snap, Coinbase, Meta, Amazon, Procter, UNH, Astera Labs, or A-Lab is up 21%. 𝗓𝗓 Corp now. Is 𝗓𝗓 bigger than Intel? Yeah, 𝗓𝗓 is now bigger than Intel. Who would have ever thought? The world just passed Intel by, huh? Yeah, looking forward to IonQ. We'll do a deep dive in UNH at some point, just to see what we're missing, if we're missing anything. Looking for IonQ to trade down today, possibly, as people figure out, no, Amazon is not bullish on IonQ's prospects. They just look at the warrants and say, oh, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. A good day to you too, sir. I don't know what Intel does, man. Just focuses on processors, does nothing else, and just does that as well as they can. You know, CPUs aren't going away. Yeah, we study Palantir a little bit over here. Try to get a little bit of their mojo. Why would you short Palantir? Doesn't make any sense. You want to short Beta, you can do it through better shorts than Palantir. What do you think Palantir's worth if it's not worth 172? And then how do you get to that price? I don't know why everybody's interested in this microcap. CRDL 0.0538. Cannabidiol oral solution? You gotta be kidding me, right? Guys, some of you guys are something else. What are you, in a zoo? I haven't had Dawn in a while. Well, Ramadan can always hurt your earnings, especially on Snapchat, where Muslims are notoriously active. Devout Muslims constantly on Snapchat, man. Snapchat's not massive in the Middle East. Amazon did a deal with IonQ a long time ago because their CEO came from Amazon. They gave them warrants in the company, and now Amazon is cashing out those warrants. Is Snap big in the Middle East? Why? That's so weird. Oh well, maybe Ramadan was a problem. Well, the 13Fs have to come out before earnings, but yeah, I mean, they're probably already out. My boy says short CRDL. The p-value is a subgroup. 2 primary endpoints. Hire somebody. There's somebody you can hire for your top management team at J&J. There's somebody you can hire that doesn't have to look like that. You want to glance at Shopify? And do some basic homework on J&J, but maybe a little more exciting to look at Shopify real quick. 200 billion market cap. Last time we looked at it, I think we liked it. Yeah. $200 price target. I think GPT-5's, it could be coming soon. About Michael Burry. You worried about some other trader? I never heard of him. I heard of thousands of traders. Who's Michael Burry? They're like, oh, he's a famous trader. It's like, no. Steve Cohen is a famous trader. Okay? Raj Ratnam is a famous trader. Benton is a famous trader. Paul Tudor Jones is a famous trader. Bruce Dolner is a famous trader. Have you ever heard this dude? No, John Paulson made a big subprime trade. Phil Falcone made a big subprime trade. Who the fuck is Burry? What? Nobody ever heard of this guy? Next thing you're gonna tell me about Roaring Kitty. Man, you a grown man. Stop playing with Hello Kitty, bro. First of all, that's for girls. Calling yourself Roaring Kitty. And call yourself like Dro Smoker 12, Fent Seller 6969. Tier Tap 5. Roaring Kitty, wow! Roaring Kitty, wow! You're buying GameStop? Stop. So you're gonna name yourself some legendary name, and you're gonna say, let me think. I could call myself dirt dog. I could call myself something cool from like quantum mechanics. I don't know, superposition man, roaring kitty. That's my identity. Not even a cat, bro. You gonna pick a kitty? Like, look, I got cats. Cats are cute, man, but I don't identify with them. They melt the cold heart I have. You know, that little cat comes up to me. It's a little helpless thing. It's like, meh, meh, meh. I'll take care of you. You know. I like it. But I'm not. That's not me. Yeah, man. They call him Roaring Kitty. Word. Yeah, he the hardest. See, here, I understand. There's people that believe that. You're not a real man if you own a cat. Now, I disagree. I strongly disagree. Cats have grown about 20% year over year for several years. No, I got a soft side. Oh, I might be giving my cats away. If you really want my cats, I am thinking about rehoming them. It's an allergy thing. You guys see me going crazy with the allergies. I think it's time. If you're in New York City, drop me a line. I'll give you trashy and nibbles. It breaks my heart, but I just can't do it. It's too much allergies, man. I don't want to do it either. My girl's allergic too. Yeah, I got a new kid on the way, so. Well, I lived alone for most of my time with these cats. So now I have a second person to worry about and soon a third. And I gotta worry about me too. I don't try to trade earnings. I mean, if you have some edge on what the earnings will be, you can try to structure a trade, but I generally don't have any IV edge. No, I know. That's why I said I don't have any IV edge. Don't have any IV edge. Edge is edge. Doesn't matter if it's vol or direction. I mean, I've certainly sold straddles and bought straddles. And not really. Vol is hard because you have to have a sense for the unknowns. Most farmer earnings are known beforehand, so like the results are not that important. But when they say farmer revenue is generally known beforehand through prescription drug trackers. Didn't I just tell you that it's hard to predict vol? Vol is systematically over or undervalued. Other people are looking at that too. It's not like some magic formula. It's pretty traditional long short. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if I have an edge, so to speak, but you know, I think I have a good sense of markets, and especially, you know, pharmaceuticals and technology, kind of the things that I already know and do. You know, I've started drug companies. That gives me a unique insight into pharmaceuticals that very, very few people have. You know, having started a relatively large drug company from scratch. I've of course also been trading the space for around 25 years. So I know a lot of people, a lot of medicines, a lot of history. I think I know a lot about value investing in general. Value investing approach in pharmaceuticals is pretty hard, if not impossible, because the assets have really ephemeral lives. They don't last more than 10 or 15 years usually. Yeah, I don't really trade options. Most long short guys don't trade options that much. Every now and then there's a one-off reason to do it. Vol is often jacked in pharma, but if the vol's not jacked, I'll go long some calls or long some puts. You know, I've known a few decent vol traders in my time. There was some good guys at Visium who were good vol traders, but it's a very different game. I think funds are using LLMs now. You know, how much? Yeah, I've thought about starting a new hedge fund. I don't think it's... I have a startup I'm working on. That's most of my time. You know, could there be some overlap that's beneficial? Could be. I'm not allowed to start a hedge fund in the United States, at least under certain... But in general, it's not likely that I could be the boss of a hedge fund either way, just because I'd have to get a lot of stuff cleared up from my past. As long as you have less than 150 million AUM, you don't have to register as an investment advisor. Yeah, but then it's dealing with prime brokers and stuff like that. Well, 𝗬𝗏 did get his Series 7.
Well, Josh, I mean, I think, most of the time in these situations, you're going to have to, quite frankly, I mean, you have to sit in the penalty box for a little bit. That's just the normal kind of way of the world.
Yeah, we're working on it. We have a new senior engineer from Stripe who's working on redoing our entire option system to look like live vol.
Yeah, we know important vol is for this stuff. I mean, live vol is a very big product, so we want to innovate in options, even though I don't personally go too crazy in them. I certainly have in the past. There's a lot of interesting ways to play with options. We welcome any feedback, especially from advanced options. Of course, we'll do simple things like historical vol graph and things like that, but options monitors, big block option trade monitors, valuations, so Black-Scholes and other methods. If you have your own valuation model, we can plug that in. What else? We have a lot of historical options data, so that'll be really helpful. Yeah, we're working hard on it. I mean, some Delta One options tools would be interesting. We have some friends in the space that work at big banks and big hedge funds and trying to see what tools they're looking for. A lot of the banks like Goldman has their own thing like SecDB, but other banks are open to doing their own things. Yeah, backtesting is an interesting one. So we have a really interesting product coming soon that kind of touches in that space, but options have a very weird pricing history because there's a lot of chains, obviously. There's a lot of data. And of course, when you're doing quantitative work, kind of the most important thing is the data that, making sure your data doesn't have like hidden biases like survivorship bias. So like if there's a company that got acquired, say LinkedIn got acquired by Microsoft years ago, you might make an options database that doesn't have those options from LinkedIn, and that would be a huge problem because you have to reflect the state of the market at the time, the entire market. There's little idiosyncrasies like level 2. Just because the NBBO is liquid doesn't mean that you're going to be liquid. So I don't know how much we'll focus on backtesting tools because they're a little bit squirrely to begin with. I think I probably want to help either people that are running active strategies or like other we have some ideas, but any ideas you can always shoot me. We're always looking for people who are experts in their specific thing. I think an equity expert, but people in other markets, asset classes, foreign markets, whatever, where we don't have the expertise. We have a couple, we've got 18 people now, but there's maybe one guy at our company that knows options really, really well. So whether it's like second order derivatives or higher order derivatives, jump diffusion, whatever, we're interested in implementing it. I'm trying to sleep like 7 hours. We have some futures. Those are rolling out kind of next. Oh yeah, we're gonna do a preview, David, on IonQ, see how they may or may not hit that number. Big question. Yeah, it's web-based, but you can pop out windows actually. So if I wanted to pop this out, see how this works. I hit this button, and now it's kind of like a weird little. Yeah, FX options is definitely something we've thought about. Yeah, we need a lot of help. If you want to come help us get all that data, I need somebody to work with me right now. So shoot me an email. Yeah, you go to PDF. And you type in, or you click snap to grid, and you change the grid size. So my grid size I think is like pretty high. But you can make it smaller. I just put it in there, martin@dl.software. I don't know much about Coinbase, to be frank. I try not to get involved in earnings reports too heavily, just because in the old days of hedge funds,
You're supposed to do channel checks. A lot of time those channel checks were basically euphemism for insider trading. I always wanted to do things that were just more scalable, and like trying to figure out if a quarter was going to be good or not is just a little bit, not that exciting versus, is a company really going to succeed? Now in tech investing, it's like a really important thing. You have to follow the quarters, or you can't really follow the years. The quarters make up kind of the long term. So it just becomes really hard. Sarepta pre-announced, I don't know if they're going to give guidance or not, but obviously things are looking up given they're selling the drug again. So that's pretty lit. This company's always had drama, so I don't think the patients and doctors really care that much, to be honest. I think they pre-announced Q2.
This is what happens when
This
you
is
work
what
with
happens.
patients and
This is what happens when you want to change things. What are you trying to say? Shortcut is good, shortcut is bad. I'm gonna leave that thought in the garbage can where it belongs. The greatest thing in the world is a little bit of knowledge and arrogance. It can go really wrong very quickly. Make sure you don't make it go wrong. That'd be very bad for you. Shortcut's really bad. Like, it's not even remotely good. I don't think you could do very much with any complex Excel task. It's just not there. Using that kind of thing would get you fired pretty fast. I don't even know what a DCM is, but okay. What's the context? You're supposed to analyze the stock. How much more context than that? Plus, why are you crying about it? You work there or something? Second place in Excel sheet, it doesn't mean anything. That's just a made-up thing. That's a made-up thing. They can't make a simple Excel sheet. How could it be second place in anything? Oh, you have to explain it. Okay. Of course. How much do I have to explain it? Let's try again. Okay. Make a Palantir model. Create the last 16 quarters and forecast annually for the last 5 years and forward 20 years. Everything should, we'll see how it does. Everything should be in one sheet. Income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. Oh, I pressed enter. I should have pressed shift enter. Okay. Forecast the next, what? Doesn't make any sense. Past 5 years are actuals, the next 20 years are forecasts. Use complex revenue drivers, not simply grow revenues without a reason. You train it? Really? Are we adjusting weights? We're training now? You don't work there, right? Can you confirm you don't work there? Okay, so we're gonna train the prompts? Is that what you're saying? I don't really quite understand how you train it. That word means something maybe a little different to me. I don't want to be pedantic. No, GPT's bad at this. GPT is much worse at this, in fact. This guy's like a Zoomer, maybe 22 years old. A little too much Adderall. You think you know something about AI? And you've never trained a model in your life. That's one thing I don't like about Shortcut is it doesn't do anything for like 10 minutes. Yeah, OpenBB is like the worst thing I've ever seen. You're a student? Maybe you should close your mouth. Yeah, Kira, a lot of people would give up on her. You are a math major or you were a math major? This guy is like illiterate. When is it supposed to start working? When am I supposed to see the thing? I could just go to Morgan Stanley too. Would you say 5 minutes, 10 minutes? How much longer? I'm on the pro plan. Ronald, are you with Shortcut? Or do you like it? No, I haven't used Manus. This shouldn't take any amount of time because there's APIs for this kind of stuff. I've written this kind of software before. That's done better than this. Yeah, this would never be. I wouldn't say never. Eventually, I'm working on something that'll hopefully be better, but I don't think. I'm not sure the people who made this were financial people. Just call an API for the historicals. I like how you're lecturing me about AI and software. Somebody showed me a demo of this that takes 2 seconds. The models are kind of all the same. They follow a template. It's not that complicated. This is just doing it the wrong way. You can also pre-cache a lot of this inference.
API calls are literally REST requests, literally HTTP REST requests to FactSet. How is that not possible? I make 1 million API calls a second. No, you're confused again. You don't know this. Do you know this field? Like, you can make API calls for synchronously. I guess you could say async. You don't have to wait for the next one. They're not chained. You can do it all at once. I like how it makes the cell width so I can't see the data. This is really useful. It's not so much about multi-threading or anything. The point is that the historicals are easily retrieved with an API call that is not rate limited. It's not gating on some other API call. You know, it's literally what was the Palantir 2020 revenue. That is a 1 millisecond API call to FactSet. So you should be able to populate all the historical numbers right away. Yeah, it should not be using AI to get the historicals, especially for something like Palantir, where presumably that should just be cached. I mean, the whole S&P 500 should be cached. No, again, you're confused because the historical numbers are literally a batch job. You can even send multiple arguments to FactSet's API or Bloomberg's API or any other vendor's API. You could just say, give me the revenue number in an array, the last 16 quarters, and it'll spit you back an array. You should be able to plug that right in. It's one HTTP call for revenue. It's one HTTP call for each of these. Instead, it's actually doing 100 times more work. Now, historical numbers, you just get the numbers. I mean, it's spending a lot of time parsing. It should not be parsing anything. Oh, trust me, we'll have plenty of criticism once the data's been gathered, but just the data gathering step should have taken 30 seconds, which, you know, it's seemingly still doing, but it's really hard to say. But if you look at the quote unquote drivers, the drivers are, again, like, I mean, let me zoom in here so you guys can see how stupid this is, but the drivers are the amount of customers. It's taking the amount of customers. I mean, like, this would get you fired. There's nothing, you know, if this completes at its rate, I'm like specifically told to use an intelligent forecasting system. The whole point of the model is I don't want to do the work of what the intelligent forecasting system is. If I knew what the intelligent forecasting system was, I wouldn't need them. That's funny because when I asked ChatGPT to write a proof of a theorem, I don't have to give it any context. It just does it. I mean, it's almost done, which is scary because it didn't even do what I asked it to do. Like, I gave it very specific instruction and it completely didn't do it. But we'll see how it goes in a second. What is this? I can't know what? You guys know what that is? Is this readable to anybody else? This is 8 out of 10 done. Yeah, no, it's in the old days. I mean, when DaVinci came out, we had a really hard time making this kind of software because we had to, you know, you had this really, really short context window, like 1,000 or 2,000 tokens. So you couldn't, you know, put many tokens in. And then obviously you have like a needle in a haystack problem where, yeah, it's not going to take hours. It's almost done, dude. Hours. It's 8 out of 10. Yeah, it's just the thing, like, LLMs aren't good at this. It's one of these things they're not good at yet. You know, will Mira's company be good at it? Maybe. You know, that's a potential hope. It's almost done, it says, but I can't read anything. Is it going to do all the work at 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10? Let me finalize the model. I mean, it didn't do what I asked it for, a quarterly model. And I don't see any quarters in here. Am I missing something? Were there quarters over here sneaking in somewhere? Where are the quarters? Are they being hidden? Institutional quality financial model. Okay. Let me see if I can give it some advice. And thank you for this first draft. Unfortunately, I cannot read the numbers in the financial statements. They say account AIN or account PIN instead of a number. Why is there no number? Secondly, there was no quarterly revenue numbers, which I specifically, this is just bad engineering, which I specifically, I mean, it can be both, you understand. It's not just that agents are hard to work with and they need more prompting, and so of course that's true, but it's also bad engineering. It can be both of them. It's not that anybody who makes an agent makes a good agent. Okay.
Secondly, there were no quarterly revenue numbers which I specifically asked for. Please include the prior 16 quarters and the next 8 quarters. Finally, I want you to think really hard about developing a much better growth driver. Your growth drivers and growth assumptions have no basis in reality. You need to pick something from the real world that you can forecast, not an arbitrary number like number of customers or annual revenue growth rate. You need to think about a TAM or something like that, for instance. Perhaps an ARPU that is comparable to other companies' ARPUs. Good luck. Okay, so the 3 mistakes. 1, I can't see the data, right? This is like a shortcut takedown. Like, what is this? It made me a model, but this is what it showed me.